you're a software provider, and we've heard today about this so-called threat from sort of non-traditional banks. To what extent can a software provider like Misys help banks compete in this new space?
I think we have to be aware of what's happening in the sector, number one. And to some extent we're blessed in as much as we can talk to third parties, maybe in a little bit more of an independent fashion in terms of collaboration as well as maybe potential investment, long-term investment. So that's number one. Number two is we have our own, obviously, considerable capability in fintech across a broad range of banking, from investment banking through to transaction banking, through to core banking. So we've got a pool of talent really that can make some of the newer software, new technologies work with existing platforms within banks. We have over 2,000 banks as customers, so we understand pretty well what some of those systems do and what they're capable of. And the other aspect, I think, is investment. I think we are transforming a little bit away of our business model, so maybe looking at the cloud a little bit more than just the traditional view from a 30-year-old technology provider. So we're having to reinvent ourselves in some respects as well to meet the challenges.
How much of a challenge is the legacy infrastructure that banks had? There's been all sorts of cases in the media about banks' online banking systems going horribly wrong because they seem to be built on old sort of infrastructure. How much is that an issue? It's
a significant issue. It's all well and good having a really, really pretty digital channels front piece for your customers if it's not integrated correctly to the back office systems. It's also quite important to build layers of extractability from those legacy systems so you're not impacting those legacy systems directly. So if you go in and start changing aspects of those legacy systems in order to provide services through digital channels, then that can be problematical. So the concept we like to use is building an integration or transformation layer between the legacy systems and the digital channels. So the actual point of transformation of information is in the transformation layer, not in a peer-to-peer integration capability.
But given this sort of patchwork of IT systems that banks have, some of which is still very much siloed, you spoke about the corporate wanting a more harmonious experience across the bank via a single sign-on. How much of a reality is that, though?
Oh, it's being forced not just from the customer side, it's being forced from, as we heard earlier today, the cross-sell side, the ability to have your sales force going in, understanding the complete level of services that the customer has through a single digital channel enables them to better cross-sell. Number one, because they understand all the products that are being offered in that channel. And secondly, they have this wealth of data. So by combining FX or treasury services, cash, liquidity management, trade finance, invoice-based finance and loan servicing on the same platform, you have a wealth of information that you can quite easily put into an easily assimilated form for the bank sales staff to understand and then use in an effective way with their customers. So that's the drive, I think, is there. So it's happening. It's happening in Tier 1 banks right now. I think the question is, how do the Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 4 banks react to that as well? And having a single channel, I think, is a very important part of that. But that's not the end of the story. I think you have to then look in terms of turnaround time. You have to start looking about how can you make your back office systems efficient to be able to push work through quite quickly and to get an immediate response back to the customer through the digital channel. So it doesn't just end with the digital channel. It's something that you have to look further and further in the bank to provide the perfect solution.
And we sort of heard about how much banks are investing millions, billions into digital corporate banking. But do you think the future is continuing to plough money into these platforms, or for banks to sign up to a multi-bank platform?
I think for the larger banks, well, if we go back to the back office platforms, what's interesting in some areas, such as the trade finance, supply chain finance areas, we did a recent study, and of the banks that we surveyed, 100, which is about 130 banks, 40% of them said that they will either re-platform their back office processing systems or considerably amend them within the next 3 years. So that's a considerable investment that represents. So it's not just digital channels, they are investing in their back office technology as well.